Shalom and welcome to our second Shabbat Kavanah, our inspirational for this coming Shabbat, Parshat Vayikra. I hope by now you have all received the weekly electronic bulletin and instructions on how to join us for our stream services later this evening and of course tomorrow morning. On this occasion, we begin a new book in the Torah, Sefer Vayikra, the book of Leviticus, which is also known as Torat Kohanim, the priestly book, as it contains, for the most part, all of the instructions for the garments and the sacrifices that were to be performed first in the Mishkan, and then later on, of course, in the first and second temples in Jerusalem. Given the fact that there is no temple, and for 2,000 years we've not had a sacrificial system, there are those who call this an obsolete book. Why read about sacrifices and rituals that we no longer perceive as important, practical, or relevant? And the answer is that there is great value in learning old traditions, if nothing else, for the sake of developing a mindset, a thought process that fosters further understanding in the overall themes of our tradition. There is a notion that says that when children learn to read Hebrew and are introduced for the first time to the reading of the Torah, they should be introduced to the Sefer Vayikra, precisely to this book, because we want them to understand that even though there is no practical application of these laws, the fact that we have these laws is important enough for us to find ways to adapt to the needs and to the tenets of the tradition. Many have been the periods and the circumstances in our history when we were forced to do precisely that, to adapt to new realities. Whether it was the destruction of the temple, which brought about the elimination, of course, of the sacrificial system, and replacement through prayer and holy readings, through the expulsions to Babylon and others, Jews have adapted to each situation in ways that have preserved us for the millennia. This is a time in our lives where we are called upon to adapt as well. We have adapted in recent years, as we permitted, for instance, the use of cars for people to come to synagogue and participate in community as part of the congregation of the joy of Shabbat celebration. Today, we are precluded from doing so. No one is to leave their homes. So how do we adapt? We use technology at our disposal to bridge the gap, the physical gap between ourselves, our neighbors, our friends, and, as we will see in the next few weeks, our families throughout the world. This Shabbat is not only the beginning of a new reading in the Torah, but is also the beginning of a new reality, at least a temporary one, that we are to use technology to create virtual connections to one another, to allow us to feel that indeed no one is alone in this pandemic, but rather we all share in the responsibility of doing our best to prevent further spread of the virus. And all that means is doing absolutely nothing. When in life have you had an opportunity to say, I can contribute by staying home and doing nothing? To compensate you for that effort, we have created an opportunity to join us for services both on Kabbalat Shabbat, Friday night and Saturday morning, through a physical, virtual video stream. I hope by now everyone is aware of the availability of this service and understands how easy it is to join us. All you have to do is go to the synagogue website and click on the link, which will be a box with a counter counting us down to the actual moment of the service. So until I see you on the virtual synagogue, I bid you a Shabbat Shalom. I beg you to continue to sequester yourselves and to remain separate for the greater good of your neighbors, of your community, and why not, of the world. Shabbat Shalom umevorach.